Our story unfolds like waves on the sea, tale of strength and the whispers of trees, unwritten vows danced by the breeze. Footsteps of giants mark barren land, echoes of histories whispered in sand, heartbeats of warriors, drums in hand, fighting for dreams, making a stand.
Just going back to, is it the first day or the second day?
I believe it was the first day, because it was the same day that we, because it was a Navy area, that the Navy got involved. So we actually had a really lovely Navy personnel, is it Nishant? Nishant.
Great guy.
Beautiful guy, and he was working in one of the offices. He heard about it and he came to our aid. As we all know, the Navy has knowledge and rights with vessels on the water, and he came out of nowhere while we were dealing with all authorities. Very friendly smile, and he just said, and ignored everybody else, "Hey, Captain, may I please get on board?" And we didn't know who he was at that time, and we were kind of just said, "Well, you have to go and ask whoever's in charge of whatever, because we've been told we can't enter the land, therefore no one can enter the boat." And he gave us this very confused look. And he went away anyway, and he kind of just told someone, "I'm getting on that boat." And he came back again, and he came down to our level, and he asked very politely, "Captain, please may I get down there on that vessel, can we speak? My name is Sean from the Navy." And as soon as we heard that word, "Oh, sorry, of course, please come and join us." From there, we spent maybe about half an hour.
Yeah, talking with him.
Half an hour speaking with him, and his main concern was how we got in and how our dealings were with the radio and why no one responded to our distress call. Even though we didn't quite see it as a distress call, it technically was, because we had no communication from anybody on the land. And that was quite a bit of a worry. So he went over our radio and our maps and sat with us for quite a bit. And he thought common sense first for health and safety of the crew. And he asked us, have we eaten that day? Now, after sailing that long and being up for that long, not one of us were in a good state of mind to sit there and actually eat. So
prepare a meal.
So he had asked everybody, immigration, all authorities, can someone please go down the road and get them something to eat now? So that request was actually refused and denied by all authorities.
Ignored, I think.
Ignored, whatever. And that became one of the main issues for him, and he fought for that all day. So yeah, moving on from all of that, we had a good sitting and dealings with the Indian Navy. Where to from here?
Basically, he came back and stated to us, these guys are not going to do anything. He says, I can see they're not doing anything. And he advised us to speak to our embassy. Now, obviously, I've tried to do the UK.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sluggish.
We kept trying to explain to him that of the embassy that we belong to, which is not the corporation. They basically tried to put myself onto the British embassy, both of us onto the New Zealand embassy. Didn't matter how many times you stated, we are not under these corporations, and what the true
jurisdiction of where we come from, that we were just being ignored, no one was listening. For example, port authorities, two port authorities, rang the British embassy and spoke to them previously, rang them, gave them a little bit of information in regards to Tim's estate, Tim Nigel Brodsdale estate. And he approached him and said, here's the embassy, you speak with them, you sort it out. You explain because you did that deal.
So had the British Embassy on the phone. Then I said, well, I have no idea. I mean, I haven't lived there for over half my life. I haven't been there. I don't hold a British passport. Yes, I was born there, so that makes me native to that land. So, picking up the phone, and she said, hello, this is the British Embassy. And I said, yeah, hello, how can I help you? And she said, well, it's how can I help you? She said, I believe you're a British citizen. I said, well, yes, I'll still be a citizen. She said, do you hold a British passport? And I said, no, I don't. And she said, well, I can't help you then. And I said, I'm very aware of that. So we said, thanks, goodbye, and handed it back, which just riled him up. Basically, all they were doing all the time was trying to tie us to either the British company or the New Zealand company.
And for the simple fact of, is they didn't want to support or allow our documentation, which is our identity cards, which put us in a living status in our living jurisdiction, because they can only deal with the debt. They can only deal with versus the corporate body, the entities.
And this is where they can make money and start charging.
Right.
Because we are the people, it's impossible for them to charge us.
And with our jurisdiction and being on the flag that we're under, we actually already have rights of passage to enter this particular port. The other point of it is that India is a part of the Commonwealth countries, so they have to honour that, and they did not want to do that.
Yeah, so I think we got to a point where the port I believe it was the port authorities, because they were very disgruntled that they couldn't make any money out of us whilst they're there. Now, this is not us stating we're not going to pay you for mooring. We were happy to pay for mooring. Hey, just come and see us, talk to us. This is how much it is per night.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Actually, port authorities did say that, but in the first meeting in the morning, the thing that was organised with them first was they were going to move us, and they were going to put us with the yacht club, and the yacht club were going to help us. That was what the port authorities had spoken to us about.
And immigration.
And immigration, and they did not do that.
Yeah, they basically stopped the yacht club helping us to start off with. Refused fuel to the ports, refused water. And we only got water on day 4, was it? Yesterday. So they left us without water. We got food the day before that. But yeah, I mean, to leave a vessel without water for 4 days, and we were getting critically low at that point, goes against every law of the sea again. Human rights.
Human rights and our rights to life. This is our basic essential needs. Everyone is entitled to that, and none of that was was on that first day. If they really cared about our welfare, those things would be most important. And they got lists on the first day of arrival of the food that we required. They also got a list of parts that we needed. They were told in person, or face-to-face kānui to kānui, of the repairs that needed to be done. And continuous updates of what we had gone through to get to that point.
So sort of going past all that, because everybody had that information. So we were basically at stalemate. We couldn't do anything there. We couldn't leave. We couldn't get anything. So it was a sit and wait game. They were accepting all paperwork yet again, barring the sea passes. So what we had to do is they said, if you can get verification of who you are, we will accept it. So we got verification from our embassy in writing, and photos of the ID cards to state who we were. Now, what they started doing then, saying, we have never received it.
Yeah. So this went on to the next day, by the way. At the end of that night, Chennai Port's basically the head guy there, I can't remember what his name is, he was captain anyway. He went out of his way, half the day later after saying he would get us food, organised food to be delivered to the boat. So there was various pieces, bread, milk, sugar, eggs, butter, and a packet of sausages and chicken. I have to recall.
Sorry, just in the meantime as well, just to spark my memory there, we had a friend on holiday from Melbourne who helped us get food. That was the next day, okay. So he helped us do that, but he did it from the outside and they just put it through hell. So, sorry to you for that, Ross. But unfortunately, the need to show that people can travel freely without being forcibly injected or whatever else they have to do to be able to get to see other people has to be proven. So for us, that's foremost of everything, really, isn't it?
And who we are as people and individual in our individual capacities, I will forever exercise my right to live my life and do what I do, and I will not change my mind for anyone.
We cannot back down to the tyranny that's upon us, basically.
Yeah. So to end the first day, Chennai Port's authority man organised some food that was delivered kind of around 9 p.m.
That night, yeah.
That night.
Yeah. Great guy, awesome guys from the up.
Yeah, and that concluded business with him. What he was waiting for the following morning, which would be the Wednesday morning, was confirmation from the embassy. He also spoke to Tane Waiti directly via the phone, and because he had called outside of office hours after 8 p.m, he was advised by Tane that everything that he had asked for would be sent over the next day in office hours, which was, I believe, was acceptable considering he was basically just being chucked into what was happening. He was just getting updated. Now, he cannot do his job if he has not heard from us directly first.
A great process.
Yeah, due process. So, yeah, the next morning, Ross, this is where Ross comes in. Ross, we had asked him, and organised with actually immigration.
Yeah.
What about immigration? Immigration stayed all night, and he was a really good guy too. He got off 8 p.m. on the first night, and it was good that there was just a few of them because we got to sit with him and talk to him for quite some time.
And he was very interested in what we were doing.
Yeah.
Now, one of the key things that always sticks in my mind about that guy was he said to us, it's because you're the first. Had there been more people doing it, you would find that it's more accepted. And I just said, yeah, but somebody has to start it, So he understood.
He understood, and he actually gave us room to speak a bit more, where we could actually converse properly. He said, you don't have a visa and you can't enter into India without a visa. So I actually was able to, in the frame of mind that I was able to show him emails that I actually tried to get visas. And he goes, well, can I have that email? No, well, you can take a photograph of it or I can send it to your WhatsApp. And he goes, well, send it to my WhatsApp just so I can show my boss. So I went, there it is. And this, that's me trying to get a visa. This is me contacting you previously, and inside that requirement it says I at least have 4 days to apply for one before I get into India. So that was the 1st of January that I first tried to go through that, and I have heard nothing since. I tried to do the payment for it, and I had to go to e-visa help because there was not an option to actually pay for my processing application. So he took copies of that, and he, straight onto the phone to his boss of, well, they did try to get visas and they did make contact and they said that they did try to email the yacht club. He actually went down to the yacht club and tried to find out, did they actually email? And he goes, well, we actually got a copy of it, but you did try to email. So we're going, we did try. We did say that. We did try.
And this was the thing with all their emails, is they were refusing. A lot of their government emails as well kept bouncing back, but we know X amount of them got through. So, with regards to them denying that they're receiving emails and some bouncing back, we thought, well, the only next option we have is to start serving copies of the paperwork. Thankfully, we've got a printer on board, so we managed to print out paperwork that was required, that was provided by the embassy.
That was day 2. So we asked in that morning, is our friend allowed to come in? Can he get our food? Can he get our parts? And can he look over our anchor? Because, they had problems there, and they said yes. The first day that we arrived, this was immigration. And we're going, cool, we can organise that for the following day, being the Wednesday. Wednesday morning, we continued to ask, is this still okay? They said yes. So poor Ross left his accommodation, travelled from where he was, organised a tuk-tuk driver, which is what the advice that we got from immigration, and he sat outside Chennai Port, gate 7, basically the whole day. When did he arrive? 10 o'clock? 9 o'clock? 10 o'clock in the morning till probably 6, 7 o'clock that night. He was trying his very hardest to let us help. He went around and we got food and got some parts for us, and he was threatened with police, told he wasn't allowed in, being told that if he got clearance from the ports that he could come in. So it was like
same old guy.
He was basically chasing his own tail, and he's not. He's quite an old little boy, ain't he?
So that was a bit of an issue. Unfortunately, we haven't heard from Ross much since. So anyway, we served the paperwork. The paperwork from the embassy was served on the immigration. So there you go. We know you've got a copy. Now, how do we get to the port authorities? Because these guys are not going to accept anything. But they're all stating that they wanted the paperwork, we've not received it, and they're holding us accountable. So I sent the paperwork by WhatsApp, because as we know, WhatsApp, 2 blue ticks, means it's been seen. Sure enough, the email went through onto WhatsApp, the document. He opens it. I then stated via text onto WhatsApp, you have been served the papers. He then acknowledged by coming back to me and said, well, you need to go to the immigration, because now he could see it was getting above his head, and he stated this has got nothing to do with ports anymore. Great, so that's one out of the way. That's one group of people gone. Immigration was served it by yourself in person, and we recorded it.
3 o'clock that afternoon,
2 people there. Then what they did is, we believe that the ports rang the police in order to get the police to remove us. Now, we all know that the police, the land police, have no jurisdiction on the water, even though our friend Kumar believes differently, and he was a great guy, was Kumar. We believe that they do not. Anyway, so
they have access to the port, but they can't do much to us on the water.
So the police said, well, can we see this document that they're saying they haven't received and you're saying you have given? And we said, no problem. So again, the document said, can I take a photo? No, just take the document, but please, can you go and photograph the documents? Can you photocopy it? And then can you give it to each department that state that they have not seen it? So sure enough, she said, yes, I can do that, and I will do that. So it kind of backfired, because then we've got the police serving paperwork on the government department. So now we know that everybody's got it, there's no denying it. All we had from there was, this is not you. Okay, well, who am I then? And they bring the full birth certificate title up, which we know that it is not proof of identity. This is you. They kept saying, this is you. And I said, no, that's an email. This is me stood before you. And he said, but we need identity. I said, but you have identity with our CPAS cards. And he said, that is just a piece of paper. I said, but yours is just a piece of paper. So you see that you can just be in stalemate with it, you can bounce off each other, but sooner or later, one has to give in to the other. Fortunately, we weren't in a rush to go anywhere because we didn't have our water, we didn't have our food, we didn't have our fuel. So we're just sat on our beat bags out waiting.
Yeah. And we did that, when we got a bit of a presence, that's what we did. Especially when they called the local police on us, and that was after Crimes Man. He was a representative for the crime division.
Yeah, serious crime.
Yeah.
He was quite funny because he said, I said, and where are you from? And he said, I'm from the crimes division. And he said, I said, but there is no crime here. And he says, yes, I know, but he was here all the time. So it was quite a
waste of resources, to be honest.
It was insane, but anyway.
Very eventful day that day to be, for them to, and I believe this was the port authority because they were getting sick of it. We had this man that arrived, all dressed in white, and when he had everyone standing at attention saluting him, and he, he's on his phone, he's taking off. We kind of felt that something was building up. So I stayed on the deck. Tim was inside. The police arrived with their blue and red lights, and the beautiful girl, I can't remember her position at this moment, but she had quite a big position. She spoke really good English. So she was given the documentation from the embassy. She served all government departments. So now no one could refuse or deny that they did not have a copy.
So as I say, now it's just, we're not accepting it. So now it gets down to a really, really simple fact is, okay, well, that is your preference. And it is your preference not to accept it or to accept it. We can't control that. We do, however, still have a situation where we have come in for safe however. We still need our provisions, and then we can leave. Now, what we got to is a point of immigration refusing to give our cards back. So now we've been, you call it kidnapped, I call it held hostage. But you can call it whatever.
We call it all sorts.
You can call it, yeah.
It was depending who we were talking to. Now, when we were talking to the police, it's theft. When we were talking to each other or talking to immigration, you're kidnapping us because if you really want us to leave, you'd return our documents and we would leave. But we also have to give notification to the embassy that you did not abide by international law by providing aid to us.
And this is...
They didn't like it.
This went on, this holding of the documents went on to the last minute. What they were trying to do, I'm just skipping forward slightly here. What they were trying to do at the end was say, go and start your engines. We will then give you your cards. Now, the problem is, as soon as I started my engines, they would have tossed the ropes off the wharf, and then we have to leave, and they're still holding the cards. So that was a no-go. So just going back to where we were there, which is holding of the documents.
They did that right up to the last month, so that was today. We got our documentation back today, and property that belonged to my daughter, which I won't say what that is because
it's private.
Yeah, it's private. So we managed Wednesday. So this is Wednesday. The yacht club approached us, and it was later on that afternoon. They said, how can we help you? Do you need food? Do you need water? What are your requirements? So we told them the truth. This is what we're going through. We need our food list done, our food shopping, parts organised, And he goes, what about water? So we said, oh yeah, well probably we've been here for that long now that we're probably in need of water. So then we said,
sorry, we do have a water maker on board, and that's great, but you cannot make water in a harbour because the water is so filthy. So we couldn't do that. You can make water out in good, clean ocean.
yeah. And then the other part was fuel. And so they could organise it, and they did advise us that they had some down at the yacht club, but everything has to come from outside the ports, and they were willing to help. Now they were told by port authorities that they couldn't help and they couldn't interfere, and for people that actually want to help us, like immigration and authorities and all that sort of stuff, you kind of think that, well, wouldn't you allow a yacht club to do what they do best, to help fellow sailors and boaties and whatever you want to put your title to? This is what they do.
So they were stopping us every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
Our story unfolds like waves on the sea, tale of strength and the whispers of trees, unwritten vows danced by the breeze.